welcome to episode 16 of the Pack Homer Podcast, brought to you by Waters and Mathis CPAs. If you want to run rule the IRS like the Pack did the Deacons on Thursday night, visit WMCPAs.com. What a weekend. Pack goes 3-0, up to 32-19 overall now, and have 18-11 in ACC play, and secured the third overall spot in the ACC tournament coming up this week. Just unbelievable what the Wolfpack's done. I know that it kind of seems like as the season's gone along, we've got a few more listeners every week. Not because of anything we're doing, but I think because folks are finally beginning to believe in the Pac-9. We have been here the whole time, and hopefully we are rewarded for our loyalty. Guys, I was thinking a lot about our team today, and I've talked about the metrics on multiple podcasts on how we're 11th in the ACC in pitching, and we're 11th in the ACC in hitting, and it doesn't matter. Like, this team just knows how to win. I have truly fallen in love with this baseball team through all the injuries. We have Matt Willison, who, in my opinion, is probably going into the season, I felt like might be our best starter. We lost Matt for the season before it even started. Shane Van Dam, who at the time he went down was our best reliever. Alex Sosa, who was unbelievable this weekend. Missed him for a month with mono. Logan Whitaker, who has been in the program a long time, and missed him for a month of the season. We went to a series at Louisville where we got swept and had no Logan Whitaker or no Sam Highfield, and this team is just so resilient. It keeps bouncing back. Josh Hogue, who was hitting in the 3-hole for us, probably that's where you usually hit your most consistent best hitter. And Josh Hogue goes down and shakes everything up. And, we got Luke Nixon has moved out to left field some to kind of help with our shore us up in the outfield a little bit. But a team on paper that if all you look at is the stats, and that's what I think we've been frustrated about a little bit with the RPI and our projections. And, we've tweeted at D1 Baseball and some of the other baseball groups, like, you got to watch this team play because there's just something special about this baseball team and how they have come together and what they've done in the last few weeks. It really since the beginning of April, to get to an 18-win conference, 18-11 conference win-loss record with the number 4 strength of schedule in the country, with a roster that I don't think you can even argue has been decimated with injuries. Noah Souls, another one we didn't even mention, missed a month of the baseball season, and they just keep finding ways to win. I think that we went, guys, and I want to talk about our team some before we talk about the Wake Forest series in the ACC tournament. But I think we went from a team that we were worried about our bullpen, and in the last, I want to give you these numbers since April. Or here recent, Derek Smith started the season, gave up 12 hits the first 5 innings he pitched. And since then, he's thrown 15.2 innings and given up 4 hits. He's got 27 strikeouts in the last 15 innings. When April Fool's Day rolled around, he had an ERA of 14.09, and it's down to 5.57. He has allowed 1 run in 10 appearances since April 6th. Cooper Consiglio, his last 3 outings, 12.1 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 15 strikeouts, 4 walks. We fussed enough about walks earlier in the season. Hitters are hitting a $193 against Cooper Consiglio, a freshman, and he's given up 5 extra base hits all season. Jacob Duden, who got roughed up at ECU on April 23rd, has been absolutely untouchable since then, guys. He's thrown 13.2 innings, a 1.31 ERA, and just to watch the turnaround that our bullpens have. The bottom of the lineup this weekend, I think I sent you guys some stats earlier today, where 5 through 9, I think this weekend, drove in like 53% of our runs, scored 47% of our runs. We're just doing we're not a pretty baseball team to watch. If you want to go watch them hit them in the trees, you can go watch Carolina, hit 100 home runs, or Wake Forest hit 100 home runs. You can go watch Chase Burns throw 102. But our baseball team, just a scrappy bunch of guys. We beat Santucci, we beat Jamie Arnold, and we beat Chase Burns on Friday night at the Doak. I mean, if you're not a believer now, I just feel like this team's got some magic. You ain't never getting on the bandwagon if you ain't on it right now. And I'll turn it over to these guys. I've given you a monologue. Adam?
Well, for starters, it was supposed to be a 2-minute monologue, and it was a 5-minute monologue. So I feel like we can, as our elected officials say, I can yield back some of my time to Wes. But yeah, I mean, I think you hit all the high notes, Cal. I mean, I think our freshman pitchers between Consiglio and Marone and Jacob Duden, I mean, for those guys to come together like they have for us, in a combination of a few starts, but mostly out of the pen and some long relief the last couple of weeks, has just been unbelievable. I mean, I think there's just so much to be excited about. Thinking about those guys, those 3 guys pitching for the next 2 years for the Pack, just very, very impressive and just a lot of fun to watch. I mean, early on we were talking about, I think it was in our first or second episode, talking about how, the NC State baseball is our absolutely favorite sport and my favorite sport. And in the last couple weeks, and especially this weekend, has just absolutely, showed me why. I mean, it's just so special. I, I don't know. I'm a Pack fan because my dad was a Pack fan. I lost my dad a couple weeks ago, and dang, yesterday when we won that weight game, my first thought was, man, I can't wait. I want to talk to my dad about that, and it just means a lot. But anyway, what I was going to say though, following that up, the most impressive thing, and I didn't even realize this until Rob McLam tweeted it out today. And I'll just read the tweet because it's just so impressive to show the caliber of teams that we've played to get to where we are right now, going into the ACC tournament as the number 3 seed. Says, Rob tweeted, NC State has faced 10 of the 13 ACC schools with baseball programs during the 2024 regular season. The schools that the Wolfpack did not face are the 3 lowest seeds in the upcoming ACC baseball schedule. Number 12, Pitt, number 11, Miami, and number 10, VTech, who we play in our pod. But that's just so impressive. In our schedule, I mean, we've talked about it since early on. It was just going to be an absolute grind. And to get here now and be, what did we end up? We're 18 and 11?
18 and 11.
Man, that's just, we're all Pack homers, obviously, but they certainly exceeded all of our expectations that we spoke about early on in the pod. So I'll yield back my time to Wes.
Yeah, I mean, I think just building off of what both of you said, then back to Cal, that we're a scrappy bunch. That if you were to look at some of our starting 9, you probably wouldn't think that's a top 15 team in the country, and what we believe is top 8 team in the country. But they find a way to get it done, and not to talk about football too much, but one of my favorite quotes over the last decade is Dave Dorn saying we're a blue collar school, hand in the dirt school.
Hand in the dirt school.
Yeah, we're an ag school, we're an engineering school, and and honestly, it's not even fair to just bring this team up because that's been Coach Avent over the last 2 decades for all of his teams. So it's not like this is necessarily something new. I mean, again, we've had the conversation so many times with a facility standpoint. I actually saw, I think it might have been Alex that sent us a screenshot of a quote from a Florida fan talking about our Cracker Box Stadium, at the Doak. And the reality is what Avent and the rest of the coaching staff has been able to piece together over the last few months with all these injuries is nothing short of a phenomenal job that they've all done.
Yeah, I was thinking about, before when I was getting ready for the show tonight, like if we were to have some regular season awards, I was like, well, who's our most valuable offensive player? Who is our most valuable pitcher? And honestly, it's not even fair to do. I mean, I don't know if this team has a most valuable player. We're actually to the point, I'd say, offensively, that we can't afford to lose anybody. But I mean, obviously, AMAC and Pennington transferring in have been absolutely huge for this baseball team. But it seems like it's a different guy every weekend. We've probably been a little critical of Eli at times. I thought he had a huge weekend versus Wake. Jacob Kozart hit the home run yesterday. That was just a big swing. And then if you take away what Jacob Kozart does behind the plate for this baseball team, where are we at? Where are we at with Chase Nixon, who has 2 strikeouts in his last 48 plate appearances? Where are you at with that guy not hitting a cue shot the other night to shortstop off Burns, just grinding out at bats and finding a way to win? We don't. There's not a guy. It is a collective group of guys that have found a way to get it done. You look at Dom and Sam and Logan, and those guys have thrown over 500 innings in their college career, and I think we feel really in a good spot going into postseason play with 3 experienced starters. But even if you look at Sam and Dom and Logan, Sam's ERA is 5.09, Logan's is 6.70, Dom's is 7. But what we've been able to do that is special. None of those guys are happy with those numbers, but what we've been able to do that is special here these last few weeks is we know that when we go out, if they can give us 4 or 5 competitive innings, that now they've got some help in the bullpen. And that's kind of been the formula where, if Sam gives us 3, gives us 3. If he gives us 6, that's great. But, then, seeing Consiglio come in and throw 4 innings and to finish games, or Duden to come in and turn it over to Derek Smith or Ryan Marone yesterday going for a long period of time. It's taken all hands on deck, and it's just been fun to watch. So let's talk about the Wake series a little bit. Did anybody have on their bingo card that we were going to run rule the Deeks in game 1?
I did.
You did. You had it.
No, I would say though, when I think it was when Pennington was up, I was thinking, the thought crossed my mind. I was like, let's go ahead and run rule them and get out of here and save our arms for the next 2 for Burns and Hartle nights. So the thought did enter my mind. I will say, I will take a little bit of credit for that. But yeah, to see it actually play out that way was very impressive.
Were you guys kind of surprised that Burns didn't roll out there on Thursday night?
Yes,
I was. I mean, I thought, and again, just the stuff that I had seen and was reading on X, it seemed like a lot of comments were Highfield versus Burns. There's a lot of talk about that. So I was surprised. I'm not sure, when it was officially out there or when they released the lineup card, and maybe they had made mention of it before. I just didn't catch, but I was kind of surprised. I thought that they would have went ahead and pitched him on Thursday night, but hey, it all worked out. I'm glad we're in the shape that we're in. They're going to have to pitch him, Friday night again. It's Friday night, right?
Yeah,
it would be Friday night. It would be Friday night if they played the Heels. So, yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about the job though that Dom did against him, matching up with him. I mean, I thought the guy. I mean, Cal, you were at the game. You can obviously speak to it better than we can, but man, I thought Burns' stuff is pretty is pretty magical. I mean, probably the national pitcher of the year. A guy that he struck out 13 and 7. Made some great hitters. You talk about Pennington and Amac. You know, we talk about some guys looking lost at the plate sometime. Some of our best hitters. Burns has got the kind of stuff to make them look lost at the plate.
Yeah,
topping 100 and coming back with 83.
Yeah,
85 is just nasty stuff. And Avent's comments were even, that guy's just got unbelievable stuff, right? And that the guys were just excited to get him out of here. But I was surprised. But again, it all worked out, so no problems here.
I tell you, one of the things to talk about in the series, and as long as I've been around baseball, at the end of the day, I've heard a million times that at the end of the day, talent wins, and we've probably been critical amongst ourselves, and I'm sure our fans have, when Alex Sosa was in a 0 for 37 slump, and Coach Avent kept running him out there. And Wesley, who as a college athlete himself dealt with mono, he's kind of mentioned several times, guys, mono will make you feel like a different human being.
Rough.
But still, it's like, man, I just don't know that this year he's gonna get to where he's gonna get back completely healthy and see enough ACC pitching to be any help to this ball team. And guys, if you didn't watch the 3 games this weekend, if there was any question about why he was one of the top players in the country coming out of high school and, turned down over $1 million or 7 figures is the rumor to go in the draft, holy smokes. The talent has finally, the cream has risen to the top. What he hit one yesterday, 448 feet. And then the one he hit, the walk-off bomb he hit to 10-run rule. If he swings the bat like this in the postseason, we have found a little extra juice. And I apologize for anything. Anytime we've been critical, you can't take that bat out of the lineup right now, boy.
No, exactly. I mean, we've said, give us Chase Nixon. I'm glad it's something I'm glad to be wrong about. I mean, obviously, Avent's watching him take BP. I mean, the guy missed so much of the season versus the non-conference slate, right, to really get in the groove, and then he really, comes back, and we're already in the heart of ACC play, and then that's the freaking teams and pitching staffs that we faced. That's how you have to get acclimated to D1 baseball. I mean, this kudos to Avent and the staff and obviously mostly to Sosa for sticking with it. And my gosh, man, yeah, I mean, it is it's quite the spark, and really you could just see the confidence in him at the plate, and just how hard he's hitting the ball and how he's seeing the ball and taking good pitches. Yeah, I love it. I just absolutely love it.
And he's a guy early in the season in our defense. We said after the first series, we're like, he looks like a pro in the box. I mean, he carries himself like a professional, and that's because he's had so much success as an amateur or as a high school player that he is not scared of the situation. He's probably played in every big showcase event in the country, and he carries himself like that. And then as much as we hated playing that Norfolk State game where, we won 18-0 and fell 6 spots in the RPI. And back to your point, Adam, about him missing all the non-conference games, I think he needed that. He needed to go up to the plate and see the ball, land on grass and not, roll over 3 times or strike out. He needed to have a little success, and man, it lit a match. And he looked like a kid that was, like I said earlier, one of the best players in the country coming out of high school this weekend, and against one of the best teams in the country. So really excited about that development.
Yeah, I mean, the team that played for the national championship last year and was the preseason number 1 team. So,
and with some of the righty on lefty matchups that we're going to see, and our lefty on lefty matchups we're going to see, we're still gonna, we need Matt Hebner to be big for us, and so obviously he's a guy you got to keep in the lineup and getting at bats. But I did like what we did against Burns with the right-handed pitcher by bringing Luke back to second, putting Chase in left field, and then we got all those bats in the lineup. I thought that was a very good move in that game, and it paid off, and not because again that Chase went up there and knocked the cover off the ball, but he just went up there and had tough at bats, and that was one of the biggest plays of that game when Luke was on second. Luke, I think, did Luke single or walk? Anyway, Luke gets on, still second base, and then Chase had an infield single off 100 and ends up tying the game. And then we won it on a walk-off walk. So just a
4 straight walks.
Yeah. So as all we talked about our pitching staff walking guys early in the year and not being ready for the big moment, I think now our freshmen they've been in the fire so much that no moment's too big for them. I'm not saying they might not go get knocked around. I mean, it's baseball. Anything, if it's not your night, it's not your night. But I think we those guys are sophomores now. They've been through it. And again, to Adam's point earlier, Don Fritton, going toe to toe with Chase Burns. I mean, to be in a 1-1 game and not in a 5-1 game when he leaves it, that was huge. And big weekend for the Pack. So excited about the ACC tournament. So do want to give you just a little brief rundown of how the ACC standings ended up. So UNC ended up as the number 1 overall seed in the ACC tournament with 22 wins. Clemson was second with 20 wins, and State was third with 18 wins. And then Florida State is in the 4th pool. Is that right? They're the number 1 seed in Pool D with 17 wins. So NC State 18. In our division, Clemson 20-10, State 18-11, Florida State 17-12, Louisville 16-14, Wake 15-15 were the teams that made the conference tournament. And then in the Coastal, UNC went 22-8, Virginia 18-12, Duke 16-14, Georgia Tech 15-15, and Virginia Tech was 14-16. So in our pool, how this thing works is we will have Duke and Virginia Tech in our pool. We have not played Virginia Tech yet on the year, but Virginia Tech is number 62 in the RPI. I can't believe that they can play an ACC schedule and still end up 98th in strength of schedule. I mean, I guess they, honest to God, just looked into about as easy a ACC schedule as you could possibly draw. No knock on them, but 98 strength of schedule for any ACC team seems like a hard thing to accomplish. So Duke and Virginia Tech will play on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. And pool play is really funny. So whoever wins that game between Virginia Tech and Duke, we only really honestly have to be focused on beating that team. So we play Virginia Tech on Wednesday night. If Virginia Tech wins on Tuesday night against Duke, then we would be all in to beat Virginia Tech. And then really we could throw anybody we wanted to against Duke. But if Duke wins that game, then quite honestly, the Virginia Tech game doesn't matter. You just have to beat the winner of that game and go 1-1 in pool play, and you advance to the semifinals on Saturday. So in our pool, what do you guys think? I mean, Duke is a little bit, they're wounded right now. I mean, Santucci has been hurt. I don't think there's any confirmation yet on whether or not he will throw. We have beat Santucci once this year, but what do you guys expect to happen in pool play? Do you think Santucci rolls out there on Tuesday night versus Virginia Tech?
I have no opinion about what they originally said 1 to 2 weeks on Santucci.
Yep.
They obviously lost the UNC series this weekend, which they definitely needed to win that series, if not sweep, to probably get themselves pulled up high enough to be in the hosting consideration. So I don't know. I don't have any opinion either way about Santucci. obviously they still have a lot to play for in the tournament. I mean, they could make a deep run in the tournament, I feel like, and probably what is their RPI like? They were 22nd.
I think 20.
Either way,
yeah, they're 22nd right now is today. I don't know
okay,
what's shaking up. But
yeah,
22nd.
or 20th. They're 20th. You're right.
20.
You're right,
Okay.
Wes.
Yeah, you're right. 22nd strength of schedule, 20th RPI. Yeah.
Yeah. So if they were, to make a deep run in the tournament, or probably play in the championship game, they could arguably be back on the hosting bubble with a 16-14 ACC record, I would say. I like our draw though. I mean, I think having them, minus Santucci, if he is going to be back, do they go ahead and throw him in what would essentially be a must-win game the first night? And I don't know what we do if Duke does win and we got to play, the loser first, Virginia Tech. I I'm guessing maybe we run, maybe we pitch, Marone versus Virginia Tech, because we would still like to win that game. I mean, I still think if we win two in pool play, win, maybe one more, could we possibly sneak in and be a national seed? I think that's on the table. I mean, what do we got? The number 4 strength of schedule now. There's no team higher than us in the RPI, I know, with a stronger strength of schedule than we have. So, I mean, I don't know how, if we go 2-0, we win 2 more conference games, essentially, and and then maybe win one more. I don't know what the projections would show on that now. I mean, I know they project out, the regular season, but based on your schedule, but I don't know. I mean, we still got a lot to play for. I mean, it would just be awesome to be, you look at the higher that we can get up, you're playing a lower national seed regardless, right? So, or in the same bracket, you're matched up with a lower national seed. But the way we've been playing, I'm not scared of any of those teams, really. I mean, so I like our draw.
Do we kind of all, we're at the point where we feel like unless we just go lose 20-0 twice and lose a key piece for the year, I mean, we're hosting. Like we're playing. We're playing. If we don't play, postseason baseball in Raleigh the weekend after next, I feel like we're absolutely robbed. You run that gauntlet of a schedule, win 18 games, it shouldn't even be debatable.
I don't remember what was our record in 2022. Were we 500? And we were like 28 or 29 RPI. We went and played in the freaking championship game, and we're out. And what that tells me is that they're just not looking at the conference tournament very hard.
Seems to be just a series that the selection committee puts any value on at all.
And there's nobody got a better story to tell on series wins versus ranked teams than us.
Even for us, if you look at the non-conference, Hawaii today is 71 RPI, VCU's 85, Ball State's 119. So those 3 series are not gimme series, and I would venture out to say that might be as more competitive than ECU plays in their conference series as we go through. Now Towson was a different story. Towson was a really bad baseball team, and we had that series. I guess my question to y'all would be, okay, the scenario is Duke wins the ACC tournament. NC State, we're all confident we're hosting. Is the committee really going to have Wake Forest, North Carolina, Duke, NC State, East Carolina? Somebody's going to get left out. Who's the team that gets left out in the Southeast, say from the North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia area? Is it Virginia? Is it Wake? Is it East Carolina? Is it us? Who's the team that gets – is it Duke? Who's the team that gets left out on Selection Sunday. Just because of where they're located. And that would be the only reason, in my opinion, because they're all fantastic baseball teams.
And I don't know. My guess would be, short of winning the ACC tournament, Wake would be the one on the outside now looking in.
But they're, I mean, and Cal's got a lot of screens up, but isn't Wake a top 10 RPI still, even with the sweep dust?
I think they're 11.
They're 11.
I think they're.
So how do you with ECU 16th RPI with a 64 strength of schedule? How does ECU host over Wake? In what universe does that happen?
I personally don't think there's any way ECU doesn't host if they win their conference tournament. I don't think they'll. I think that, it's more like the little guy, they got to look out for him. Like, they're not going to let them win their. I hate to say it that way, but they're not going to let them win their conference tournament. I don't think, and not host. Even if, I don't think their RPI can really go up, can it? I mean, they don't. It's going to go.
They're going to be below 16 because they're 16 today. They open up with Rice, who's 200 something. Indiana State, and I think it's an anomaly. And Cal's a smart guy in the group, but how you can show me how Indiana State has a top 10 RPI in the country with who they played, I will never understand. I just don't get it. I don't understand.
They got the number 8. Their strength of schedule is 80th.
Yes. Yeah. And then you got Santa Barbara right behind them with a strength of schedule of 70.
So I'm just not sure. I'm not sure how the metrics work out, or the analytics for the RPI. I think it's different for us, and maybe it's just based on where what we've seen over the years. I mean, ECU is a legit top 16 team, in my opinion, hands down. But when you're looking at strength of schedule, RPI, it would be hard if you're a Wake fan to swallow ECU hosting when ECU's only respectable series win on the year is North Carolina at the beginning of the year.
Virginia.
I will say.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Cal.
I was going to say Virginia is a team that could fall out, and I had that wrong earlier. Virginia is in Pool D. They're the number 1 seed in Pool D, but Florida State
is 5, so they wrap
5.
around.
If Virginia were to get knocked out and not win their pool, which could easily happen, I think that, we have series wins over Virginia, Duke, and Wake Forest. I mean, that's the hand you want to be holding, right? I mean, obviously Duke could even up the series on the year if they were to beat us in pool play. But I still think Duke, to jump us, they got to make it to at least Sunday for that to be a discussion.
Yeah, I agree. And I was just looking. So Wake is 7-13 in Quad 1 games. East Carolina is 5-2. I think the real damning thing for East Carolina, though, is they are 3-7 in Quad 2 games.
Yeah. That goes back to what Wesley was saying a couple of weeks ago. Why we keep giving them an opportunity? They got 5 plus 1 wins this year, and 2 of them are against us.
Yeah.
Hey, but don't get me wrong in what I'm saying. I do not want ECU to be the 2 seed in our regional and have to play. I don't. I want ECU to have their own regional. I do. I really would rather not have ECU in the Raleigh regional. Is not where I'm going with my comments.
So let's talk about the pools a little bit. If you look at this thing, and so I tell you what, I personally think that having to win your pool, I feel like Carolina's the number 1 seed. He's got the toughest draw, and they beat Burns this year. By the way, guys, he struck out 14, but they scored 6 runs on him somehow. But UNC is going to have to beat Burns on Friday in Charlotte. Most likely, I just can't imagine that Wake's going to beat Pitt, in my opinion. So in that pool, I honest to God think that pool is a complete toss-up, and not because I don't think Carolina's probably the better team, has the better record. But at 7 o'clock on Friday night, they're going to face Chase Burns and 100 coming at them. And beating them once is tough. Beating them twice is going to be tougher. I mean, are you guys in agreement with me that they may have the UNC as the number one seed may have the toughest pool? I mean, I've said all year I think Wake Forest is the most talented team. I mean, they got 3 top 12 draft picks, in Seaver King, Nick Kurtz, and Burns. How do you guys feel about that? Do you agree that they maybe have the toughest draw?
I do when you look at, I mean, everything in the postseason. I mean, you can outscore guys, right? I mean, you can barrel them up, and I feel like you can outscore teams in the regular season and win a series. In the postseason, it's all about pitching, and and Wake has 2 great starters, and one is the national player of the year, pitcher of the year. So yeah, I agree that's a tough draw. And Pitt, I mean, even Pitt beat they beat Florida State 2 out of 3
I think that's right.
week before last.
Yeah, they won the series.
I mean, so they're not. They've been playing a lot better as of late. I don't think early on I would have thought of them as a team that would even make the tournament. But yeah, tough draw.
And the ACC is so good that the ACC is so good anyway that even if you take the in the 4 pools, the 3 seed or 4 3 seeds are Pitt, which I would be shocked if Pitt makes it to the semis. But then you got Miami. I don't care that Miami's 11th in the ACC. I don't care that they suck. If you guys don't believe Miami's got Jimmys and Joes, you ain't never been to South Florida. I know we all have, and probably a lot of our listeners have. But if you can go down there 365 days a year, and they're playing baseball on a field somewhere. And so I promise you that Miami has the Jimmys and Joes to come out of the pool with Clemson and Louisville. And then in Pool C, you have Virginia Tech, and then Georgia Tech is the 9 overall seed in a pool with Florida State and Virginia. So if you look at the top 4 seeds, you got UNC, but let's just put them up against the second team in their pool. You got UNC versus Wake, Clemson versus Louisville, NC State versus Duke, and Virginia versus Florida State. I gotta feel like UNC got the toughest draw, and then I would say Clemson got the easiest draw with Louisville, right?
I don't know, man. If we're looking at from a straight talent standpoint, you could say the same thing about Louisville as you do Miami. I mean, from the NIL standpoint, just the pedigree of baseball historically. I think it's debatable which one of those pools is the hardest between Louisville, Miami, Clemson, and then. I mean, if you take Burns, I get. I'm just saying Louisville's got a lot of players too on their team, just like Miami. Let those guys get hot, and you got something to do. Look at us. I mean, of course, Whitaker and Highfield didn't play, but Louisville gets hot, they can make a serious run.
One of the interesting things, I saw with between Duke and Virginia Tech, I don't think that's a layup for Duke on Tuesday. Duke and Virginia Tech. Duke did win 2 out of 3 over Virginia Tech, but they played 2 11-inning ball games in that series in the regular season. So, I don't think Virginia Tech is a layup for Duke. I do like our chances against Duke a lot more if we don't have to face Santucci. I mean, Santucci, guys, even though we beat him, he did no hit us for his time on the mound. We didn't get a single knockoff of him. So, it's going to be a battle. But again, I feel like we're pretty battle tested at this point. And then I think Virginia, Florida State, anybody can win that pool.
Yeah, there's no easy ones at this point. I mean, all these teams are freaking battle tested. That are, the top 12 teams in the ACC. I mean, what is Pitt's record?
Pitt is Pitt is 10-20
in the ACC.
in the 10-20 in the ACC, 26-26 overall.
Dang. I would have thought that I didn't realize that well,
Well, you
yeah,
had
like I
Boston
said,
College and Notre Dame winning 8-9
yeah.
wins each. Um, but
But like you said, I mean, I think at times Florida State has, it over the course of the season looked like you know, as good as anybody in the conference, and they go up to Pitt and lose. So yeah, it's they're all tough at this point. I still like our draw. I mean, I really like playing on Wednesday and Thursday. Um,
yeah, I mean, not you don't get to play on Friday with the 1 seed, or with the 3 seed, but really, if you get through, is that right? Yeah, if you get through, so we would play at 7 o'clock on Thursday night and 7 o'clock on Wednesday night. If you get through, you get a whole day for your bullpen to rest
yeah, and
for the semis.
we're the only top seed that's not playing on Friday night. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
um,
I don't know. You could ask for a whole lot more than that. So let's talk about each pool and who we think is going to win it, and we'll take turns on who goes first. So Pool A is UNC, Wake Forest, and Pitt. I'll go first. I think Wake's going to win the pool.
Wake.
I'm gonna go with you. I think Burns in this situation, this is where he's going to shine. So I'm gonna go Wake as well.
I want to say another thing about Burns. If you sat close to the dugout like I did, my seats are right on top of the visitors' dugout at Doak. If you sat close to the dugout, Burns, every time he ran off the field, you absolutely hate him. But my gosh, you absolutely wish he was on your team. That guy's got so much of that Wesley Wilson energy and fire that Wesley talks about. I'm talking about it is like he's running out of the football tunnel when he comes back into the dugout every inning. I mean, my guy, whew, I just can't imagine 7 o'clock in prime time that he ain't gonna be ready to go, and that's why I picked Wake. Not because UNC. I think UNC in a 3-game series beats him, but if
Yep.
Wake has Burns going on Friday night, I just think I like Wake. All right, Pool 2 or Pool B, Clemson, Louisville, and Miami. Start with Adam.
I'm gonna say Clemson.
Wes.
I'll go with Louisville because Clemson likes the Clemson, and I don't believe in Clemson. So just like the regional last year, I don't believe in Clemson. I think Louisville's got some talented players, and I'll go with Louisville.
I like it.
I like the pick, but I'm gonna take the Tigers. I'm gonna take the Tigers. Pool C, NC State, Duke, and Virginia Tech. I'll go first. I like the pack. I like the pack, baby. We're gonna light it red.
Go Pack.
Yep.
All right, Pool D, Virginia, Florida State, and Georgia Tech.
I'm gonna take the Noles. They play on Tuesday, and then the Noles don't play on Wednesday and Thursday, and then they play Virginia on Friday. So I like their draw. Virginia's got to play Georgia Tech on Wednesday. I think Florida State's, for the same reason that Wes is picking Louisville over Clemson. I think Florida State's absolutely got some dudes that can pull it together and beat Virginia on Friday. I say Friday night. They play Friday at 11 a.m. So,
Ooh, baby.
Hey.
Wes.
I'm actually gonna go with the Jackets.
Ooh.
ooh,
You get these teams that are fighting for their life, man. I mean they're gonna be they're on the bubble, the so-called bubble, and I like taking teams, especially in this pool play, that are fighting for their life, trying to get to a regional.
I'm going to take the Noles. I do want to say that out of all the baseball I watched this year, I think Drew Burress at Georgia Tech and Cam Smith at Florida State are two of the best players I've seen all year. I mean, I really, really, really like Cam Smith. I think that guy's going to play the
I do too.
for a long time. And I think Drew Burress is probably heading in that direction as well. I'm going to take the Noles. And I also am going to add on, I don't think Virginia is very good. And I'm not just saying it. I know we beat them 2 out of 3. I know they hit the baseball. But, guys, when we got in their bullpen, I just didn't think they were that good. And they might beat the piss out of us in the tournament or something, but I just don't think they're that good.
I don't either. I totally agree. I mean, I don't know. They hit for a lot of average, obviously. I mean, they got a pretty high team average and a lot of guys over 300, but their bullpen just did nothing for me. So,
yeah, I thought they had a bunch of just average guys they were running out there. And I mean, obviously your bullpen don't got to be that great when you hit like they do. I think they ended up the year hitting 343 with 102 home runs. But to me, the postseason is about pitching, and I don't believe in Virginia's pitching here in the postseason. All right, so if we go with our consensus picks, or not consensus picks, but our, I don't know what the proper word is. But anyway, if you go with who we pick, that would, absent some votes from Wesley here and there and some disagreement. Saturday in the semis, we would have Wake Forest versus the Pool D winner, who we picked to be Florida State. Wake Forest, Florida State.
Wake.
You taking Wake? I'm taking the Noles.
I am too.
Because I think at that point you got Hartle and Burns are already gone. They're both burned.
I would take the Noles. I mean, they're the number 5 seed in the conference tournament, but they're number 8 in RPI. So, and I've watched them, I watched all their midweek games. Well, at least 2 of the 3 midweek games versus Florida. And I know Florida hadn't ended up being very good, but they were, number 1 strength of schedule, top RPI for a long time. But Florida State just, I like them. I like their team. So I would take Florida State after Hartle and Burns for sure versus Wake.
Yeah. And it's hard. It is hard. I guess it's not as obvious as I made it sound like maybe I'm not convicted as I felt because as I let on, I do think, and I'm a Pack homer, but I still think that Wake Forest is the most talented team in our league. I mean, they got some dudes. I mean, so it wouldn't shock me for Wake to beat them, but I just think after Hartle and Burns, I think that Florida State's probably going to have a little bit more left in the tank, and that's why I got Florida State. And so then in the second game that day, we would have at 5 p.m. we'd have our Pool B winner, who we picked to be Clemson versus NC State. I know Wesley's picking NC State. Is there any doubt? He's already. You don't even think Clemson's going to be there. He thinks we're going to get our.
There's no way Louisville's going to beat us 4 times in a row. So I don't care about your numbers.
I like it.
So the Pack homers are picking a Pack Florida State final. We're going to get to game 3, boys, that we never got because they don't have a tarp or something in Tallahassee.
Tarp gate. Yeah.
So
I like. I mean, man, I've said it 3 or 4 times already today. It's all about pitching in the postseason, and I don't feel like there's anybody right now who has the depth of pitching that we do. We might lack a little bit at places in the lineup, at least from an average standpoint, right? Like from a statistic standpoint, but. I mean, the guys, our 5 through 9 guys have been so clutch the last few weeks. They've put runners on when they roll it over to the top of the lineup. Our buddy Alex G likes to say that. How many guys of those 5 through 9 guys had in scoring position for the top of the lineup, and it's a bunch. But the pitching, man, I mean, our guy, I mean, it's just the 1-2 punch that we can roll out there. At least 3 or 4, even 4 times, I would argue now, because I think you can, Derek Smith has shown that he can go, more than 1 inning, and he's super rested right now. So man, I just like our chances. I really do.
We didn't even talk about that. What did Derek Smith look like yesterday? Super rested. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, 97.
Yeah.
15. What was it? 15 pitches and 3 Ks.
15 pitches, 3 Ks, and 97.
Yeah, I said yesterday that kind of regardless of the result of the game, I felt like we needed to roll him out there because he hadn't pitched.
Got to knock the dust off.
Yeah, exactly. So, man, yeah, our freaking pitch is deep, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to get the tournament started. I really think I told y'all earlier. I did check the calendar, and there's no such thing as the year of the wolf in the Chinese calendar. But I said if there's such thing as the year of the wolf, it's got to be 2024. So I'm fired up for the tournament start.
I want Elliott Avent to win an ACC tournament more than
me too. So bad.
I'm not a rich man, but I'd pay a lot to see it.
And there's no more fitting time for him to do it than the year that the Pack Homer Pod started.
I ain't lying. We'd be tied to attach it to him forever. I tell you, talking about our pitching, I was talking to one of my buddies who's a big ECU baseball fan this year, and when I say he's an ECU fan, period. When I say he's an ECU fan, I mean he watches every ECU basketball game, which
that's hardcore. That's hardcore.
He's a hardcore Pirate, and I understand where he's coming from because he's only seen us twice, right? But he's like, I don't love you guys because your bullpen really concerns me, and I understand that. He's seen us play 2 midweek games where you go out there and throw Harry Holstaff.
Look at the stats.
I know, and that's what I told him, and he was like blown away what's happened in the last 2 months. He had no idea, and I understand. I think there's a lot of people that followed this team early in the year, and we got a lot of preseason love. We're top 15 in the country, and then our bullpen. I mean, quite honestly, just wasn't very good early in the year, and we were fussing about throw it over the plate and everything else. And then now, I mean, these freshmen that have emerged, I asked him, I said, well, I mean, we got a freshman that's going to come out of the pen throwing 98 with a 92-mile-an-hour slider. We got another kid who's a sophomore who hadn't really thrown a whole lot of innings before this year, and all of a sudden he's throwing 97 with a breaking ball that no one can seem to hit. And then also we got this kid named Cooper Consiglio you probably never heard of, and he's given up 5 extra base hits all year. Like our bullpen went from just a wart on our team to like, I think like now that we've got the postseason play, I mean, I really like the formula. Just give me
but we talked about it all along. We said, look at the spots early in the season these young guys are being placed in, and we had some failures early in the season, but we said we hope we build on that and then think about where we'll be at the end of the year with these guys that they were placed in these situational, for these games. And now look where we're at. And, I don't know, I guess we're nerds, and you watch Marone and Consiglio and Duden and the press conferences. I mean, these guys are, like Cal said earlier, these guys are sophomores. They're no longer freshmen. We don't consider those guys freshmen. They're sophomores now.
So, my question would be, what other team in the country, and maybe there is one, but if there is, message us on Instagram at @PackHomerPod or on X/Twitter at @PackHomerPod. You can send us a message if you got this information. But what other team in the country has 3 starters that have combined to throw 566 innings in their college career? Who else has that? And then I would say all 3 of us, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. Those are 3 starters that we're confident to go out and, execute the game plan and give us 4, 5, 6 strong innings. And then we're going to hand it to Consiglio, Duden, and Smith. Who has that? And then they also, I feel like what I was leading to, that I think there's a consensus among us 3. We have a 4th starter. Like Ryan Marone, I ain't scared to run Ryan Marone out there. Ryan Marone has, what has he got? I mean, he's got a sub-4 ERA. He's got a 3.71 ERA. He's 4-2.
And how about Schaffner Friday night?
Yeah, Alex G sent us a text during the game a month ago. I texted him and said, I think Schaffner can get guys out. And Schaffner runs out of there against Wake Forest, pumping 95, and it's getting guys out. But yeah, so you got those three starters, and then I think behind them, obviously Consiglio, Smith, and Duden, and then you have, when you get into postseason play where there's going to be some high scoring bullpen games, Marone, Schaffner, Lucas, and John Moralia, who hasn't thrown a lot, but he's come in and got some left-handers out in big spots. Our bullpen has gone from definitely one of our biggest weaknesses to a strength. So I really really like this baseball team. Metrics aside, metrics don't matter to me anymore. We just got a bunch of dudes that know how to win ball games.
Yep, agreed.
Go ahead, Wes.
Who do you give that success to in the bullpen, Cal?
Experience.
Sorry.
Tried. We're going to give it to our 26 quad one games that we've played. So we'll say that's the reason.
Yeah, and I did get to see my man dude he threw a lot more fastballs the other night. It was nice to see.
Listening to the pod.
my little boy is 12 years old, and he was watching, Burns sit there and throw 98, 99, 100, or sitting there watching that, and then he got to see old dude come in, pumping 97, 98, and he was glad that we have one in our holster too. Where's Jacob Duden going to be next year? And we're getting on a tangent now. We're getting in the weeds, but where's Duden going to be next year? Is he going to be a starter for us?
Well, I think the first priority is, if you look at the last 3 years, we've lost our best freshman to other schools. So I think the first priority is to make sure Duden
go to one pack NIL.
Wearing red and white next year will be the first priority. But yes. I like him where he's at. I don't know that I don't know, whatever he wants to do in this NIL age. If he wants to be a starter, he's a starter. Hey, if he wants to play third base, he plays third base. I don't know.
There's some schools that'll let guys play third base that ain't got a lot of innings on the infield. Oh man, yeah, definitely. We need to be thinking about that now, guys. So if you just got your tax returns here in the last 30 days, you probably would have got a bigger one if you had went to Waters and Mathis CPAs, but. You just got your tax return here in the last 30 days. Don't be stingy. Share some of that with the one pack group so that we ain't got to have our players shipped off to an SEC school for more money. Any parting thoughts, fellas?
I was just going to say, we're talking about the bullpen, and we talk about Wake's experience the last couple of years. Talk about their ability to recruit. I mean, they freaking brought Burns in, right? I mean, the national pitcher of the year. And a lot of talk about it being, due to the metrics and analytics that they've refined there. I was going to read Ethan's tweet yesterday. He said, State's bullpen threw 13 innings and gave up 1 run this week. Wake's bullpen threw 7.1 innings and gave up 15 runs.
Whew.
So...
They looking for a new computer system running that lab they got. They got a little tech difficulties or something going on.
Yeah. Let's get the tournament started. We're gonna have to do we're gonna maybe we'll have a pod next Sunday after the championship trophy is en route back to Raleigh, and then. We'll probably have to do like an emergency pod on Monday when we do the selection Monday.
Yeah, we might. Yeah, I think we're going to have to do multiple podcasts here in a couple of weeks. We might get to 20 podcasts here. I mean, we're seasoned vets at this point, other than not knowing how to use a computer very good yet. We still ain't figured out our background music. Maybe now's a good time to take this opportunity before we say go pack and get off of here. If anybody wants to help us with any of our production, we figured this week we might have more listeners than we've ever had. reach out to us, and we want to play Cheap Seats or something. I don't know. We need some different music, but right now we got what we got.
The Marlboro Man. I mean, how can you beat that?
All right, we'll see y'all next week. Go Pack.
Go Pack. I'm so fired up, I was ready to hit leave. I got to wait on it to finish downloading.